Hey guys, welcome to Friday Coffee Mornings with 170 out. I've settled on that name. We're going to go for it because it's Friday, it's the morning, and I always have coffee. Excuse me, so that makes a lot of sense. I hope you guys have had a good week. I've had an interesting week, both streaming wise and work wise. But before I come on to that and before I come on to streaming updates, there's something I kind of just want to put out there more for my own sort of benefit, for the want of a better word. At time of recording, you guys have probably also seen the news, as just about everyone else has, that Hurricane Irma is currently passing through the Caribbean, heading up towards the Bahamas, has leveled pretty much everything in its path, and is currently en route to Florida. Hurricane's going to hit Cuba first and then hit Florida, and it's the, from what I've been reading, it's the second largest Atlantic-borne hurricane on record. There was another one a number of years ago. Can't remember its name. I only read it last night. That had winds topping in excess of 200 miles an hour. Which is insane. That's tornado strength speeds. But that one was pretty much didn't make land. It just sort of spent its life roaming the Atlantic. Irma is a bigger problem because it's making land, and the reason why it's making me sort of think about the one thing that's been on my mind for quite some time is that at the moment you have quite a few people, unfortunately mostly evangelical Christians, running around sort of saying that climate change isn't real, and that this is God's punishment on America for accepting various sins. Excuse me, in particular, the acceptance of LGBT rights and same-sex marriage. You may or may not be aware, but I think this might be the first time I've actually admitted it. This is definitely the first time I've said this in a vlog. And the fact that I've just used the word admitted is sort of really, really interesting because I'm just going to get out there. I am a Christian. I do believe in God. I believe God exists. I believe Jesus was a real, actual person, and he was raised from the dead. That's the core tenet of my faith, of why I'm a Christian, because I believe those things. Now, unfortunately, anytime anybody sort of hears that, they will immediately think that I'm also a climate change denier, that I hate the LGBT community, and don't believe in science, or don't believe, that the theory of evolution is science. And the reason why it's interesting that I've used the word admitted is because I haven't been shamed into silence by atheists. I've been shamed into silence by other Christians, because I can't even talk about issues. Not issues. I can't even talk. Well, maybe it is. I mean, I can't discuss LGBT rights, same-sex marriage, evolution. I can't have these discussions with not all Christians, because part of the thing is to show that we can be a bit different, but trying to have these conversations with many Christians is just, it's painful, and normally results in a lot of personal attacks. They'll say they're just preaching the truth in love, but to that I just want to say, come to my side and read what you've just said to me. You tell me how that's loving. Now, so really, it's just basic things of what I don't believe. It's what I don't believe. I don't believe Hurricane Irma is punishment for anything. Now, you can read through the Bible and sort of point out instances of where God did punish people, and Noah's the flood is one such example that is in the Bible. Now, I'm not going to get into a discussion over whether the Bible is flat out history. I think that's part of the problem of trying to discuss these things. Is because you literally just get scripture thrown at you saying, "Oh, do you know which part of this don't you believe?" But let's just put this back into their context for a second. The Bible makes it very, very clear that God promised He would never do anything like that again. So how can He be sending a hurricane when He said He wouldn't do anything like that again? Now, there are sort of instances where in Exodus you've got 10 plagues of Egypt and everything, and they'll argue, but so this is one of these plagues, is what God is doing. I'm like, okay, here's the thing. See, we are called Christians for a very, very particular reason, and the answer's in the name, Christ. Okay, now when you read through the Bible, and you read, in particular, read the Gospels, and you look at what Jesus said, you look at what Jesus did, how many people did He punish? How many diseases or plagues did He inflict on those who didn't believe Him? He didn't. He held His strongest attacks for the religious leaders. And He made it very abundantly clear. He said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. So, for me, the two just don't equate. Just purely on a theological level, the two don't equate. But so that's I guess this is just going to turn into a ramble on what my Christian faiths are. But let me just sort of try. This is going to be very unedited. I'm going to edit this, so there could be a lot of gaps as I'm trying to formulate these thoughts. And I don't believe Irma is as a result of punishment. Hurricanes are a natural occurring phenomenon. A combination of the sea, the sky, the sun, and the rotation of the earth. All the things that are actually needed to keep humans alive on this planet come together and they form really, really freaking violent storms. And with the seas getting warmer, that just fuels these storms. I mean, we had Harvey hitting, Irma's on its way in, and apparently there's another. It's not a proper hurricane at the moment, it's just a tropical storm, but there's another one building in the Atlantic at the moment as well. Something is clearly going on. That much is certain. But let's come back to the science now. Coming back to the science, I've got no problems with the theory of evolution. When the theory of evolution is sort of understood properly. Now, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to try and claim that I understand it properly. But I have enough scientist friends who do understand it properly, and there is no incompatibility between my Christian faith and the theory of evolution. The theory of evolution explains the how. To put it at a very basic, and it is very basic, and it is flawed, but at a very, very basic level, the theory of evolution explains the how. My Christian faith explains the why. And so the fact that we share common ancestry with many beings on this planet, and the fact that our DNA is very similar to many species on this planet, I've got no problem with that. I've got absolutely no problem with that at all. At the end of the day, I'm not going to argue with the science, because for me, And whilst I don't think theology and science should be kept completely separate, I think science should just do what science does: test, come up with answers, come up with theory, positive theory, test the positive hypothesis, test the hypothesis. Does it hold up? No. Refine it, and keep going until we find something that explains these things. Now, science for me has never disproven God, and never can disprove God in the same manner science can never prove that there is a God, because for the same simple fact, science is based on things that you can see and that you can measure. Now, just because that's all science is interested in, that doesn't mean that's all that exists. Now, again, but I'm not going to be able to prove to you that there is another sort of realm, world, dimension, that we can't see, that the common quote is the spiritual realm. I'm not going to be able to convince you of that, and I'm not even going to try it, because if you're wanting scientific evidence, I can't give you scientific evidence for something that science can't measure. And I think I'm saying this because I know that there might be a couple of atheists reading this, and they're probably going to be laughing and mocking and going, "Well, what about this, and all?" Maybe that's probably a very, very harsh judgment on that, and I actually am sorry that I just said that, because whilst there are atheists out there who do just openly laugh and mock and judge Christians, I know many atheists. I have many atheist friends who, they don't judge me for what I believe. I don't judge them for what they believe. But okay, so anyway, coming back to so I don't think that Irma is punishment. I don't believe that evolution is. I do believe that the theory of evolution holds. If scientists, actually convinced, even Christian scientists are going to say, yeah, okay, I'm going to go with it. I've seen the evidence for it. Makes complete sense to me. How that holds up with how they then sort of match that up with Genesis, well, I don't see as the evolution of Genesis trying to explain the same thing. Genesis is an ancient text that was written thousands of years ago and is based on, it was certainly going to be rooted in their knowledge and understanding of the world, which was completely different to what ours is now. And also, is it even attempting to explain the origins of the world? Or is it trying to just explain the origins of Israel? Thank you, Peter Enns, for that idea. But anyway, let's come back to Hurricane Irma and the fact that, not Hurricane Irma, but the fact that anytime anyone here has mentioned the word Christian, they'll immediately believe that I hate the LGBT community. I am a huge, well, I have been a huge supporter of same-sex marriage. I've been a huge supporter of LGBT rights. Some people would call me an ally, which is phenomenal, and I'm very appreciative that people see me as an ally, but it's never ever a term I would ever give myself, because it's not for me to, it's not a title for me to bestow on myself. It's a title that gets bestowed on me by other people. And some people would see me ally, some people don't. They'll see that I'm just like causing more harm than good, and that's something that I've got to try and work on. But coming back to it, no, I don't believe same-sex. I don't believe LGBT community, LGBT people are sinful. I don't believe same-sex marriage is sinful. God is love, and which then immediately comes back to, well, what about these 7, 8 verses in the Bible that people roll out, referred to as clobber passages. Now, I'm not going to go through and break every single one down, but I will give a very overview argument of they do not talk about. Excuse me, they are either not talking about homosexuality, or they are certainly not talking about loving monogamous same-sex relationships that we are talking about when we're having this discussion today. The context is very, very different. But so that's just been. So I think after all of this, all I'm basically trying to say is I don't want this to become a not all like that video. Because that, the fact is that enough people are like that, and unfortunately it is a reputation that Christians have got, and by and large I've earned and deserved. but I am a Christian. It is part of who I am. And in a way, these vlogs are about showing something outside of streaming. Getting to know me as a person. And you can't do that without knowing that I am a Christian, so yeah. Basically, for me, I look at Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, and Jesus sort of said, 2 greatest commandments are these: love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, and love your neighbour as yourself. These are the 2 greatest commandments. All of the laws hang on these. I go with that. I take those 2 and I run with it as best I can. I fail sometimes. In fact, I fail every day in one way or another in doing that. But that's my approach. It's what I do. And still thinking, not sort of taking leave of my senses. Just, yeah. I believe God is real. I believe Jesus died and rose. I don't believe in the penal substitution theory. I don't think Jesus had to die and took on our punishment that was earned for us. Again, when you look at Jesus, I don't see that. What I do see is Jesus or God taking the worst that humans could throw at him and going, no, I'm not gonna punish you for it. I'm just gonna bring my son back. So, but if you want to read more on that, read Healing the Gospel by Derek Flood. It's a phenomenal book, and it was his book and his work that sort of got me rethinking about the resurrection and the crucifixion and sort of what actually went on there. But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys have any questions on that, leave them below. I will try to address them. All I ask is please keep them civil, regardless of which side of this argument that you're on. At the end of the day, we're all human beings doing the best we can with what we've got. So let's just try and keep any conversation regarding that respectful. That would be great. So, regarding streaming updates, I am back DJ streaming Sunday from 3 o'clock. It's going to be about a special 3-hour set dedicated to all things Brisk. So every track will either be by or remixed by him. I started with 97 tracks, so I managed to whittle it down to 37. So in a few weeks' time there will be another sort of Brisk set, but I'm going to throw in some of his... because he set up a record, 2 record labels in fact, Next Generation Records and Blatant Beats, so I'm going to throw in a load of tracks from that as well. So those sets are coming up, but this one is purely all Brisk for 3 hours. And then I'm going to do a Twitch stream from about 7:30. Don't know what it will be yet. I'm sort of leaning towards Star Trek Online, because I haven't played that for a while. And then Monday is Arkham Knight. I'm going to start my Arkham Knight playthrough, which is kind of really looking forward to that. Should be really, really, really good fun. So, what else? Oh, last night I was interviewed by Weird Laughing Maniac, aka Noe, on her stream. I will leave a link in the comments, but in the description below. But go to twitch.tv/Weird Laughing Maniac. And yeah, I said I was going to record it and then forgot to hit record, which I have a habit of doing, but never mind. But anyway, so it'll be up there for a while. I'm going to see if I can get her to download it, or if I can find a way so I can download it. So copy. I didn't record my end in the end, but that was very cool. It was very, very fun. Shout out to her. I had a good laugh. Really, really good laugh. Alright, I think that's everything. You guys take care. Have a good weekend. I'll see you over on Chew.tv on Sunday, when I'll be doing brisky stuff. And as always, make sure you have coffee, because coffee is indeed life. So yeah.